Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank you for attending today. My name is John Irvin. I am the Director of Digital Transformation for LeverX. I am a 36-year CAD PLM veteran. I've worked for SAP, Siemens in my career, as well as many of the big 7 automotive companies and aerospace companies as well. I'm going to take you through and try to help take some of the confusion and mystery out of what a digital transformation means and how I would think about them, or how I do think about them with my team when we are doing digital transformations for our customers around the world. Quick, I want to give you a few facts about LeverX so you know who we are. We were founded in 2003. We have over 1,000 employees. We have worldwide locations. Our headquarters are in Mountain View, California. We have a big data center in Troy, Michigan. That is the office that I am out of. We also have another big office in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Both of these sites, whether it's Mountain View or King of Prussia, they're very close to our SAP headquarters. Of course, we're an SAP partner, Edge partner. We're also a Siemens Global Alliance partner, so we help our customers with anything Teamcenter or Siemens related or anything SAP related. So what does digital transformation mean? So a digital transformation is not necessarily about digital technology, but it's about technology, which just happens to be digital, allows people to solve their traditional problems more efficiently. And most people prefer a digital solution to their legacy solutions. The transformation stage means that digital usages inherently enable new types of innovation and creativity in a particular domain, rather than simply enhance and support traditional methods. In a narrower sense, digital transformation refers to the concept of going paperless and reaching a well-defined business digital maturity, which affects both individual businesses and all segments of society. So using digital, one single source of the truth, and that's PLM, Product Lifecycle Management, we now have the ability to combine 3D and 2D data and link it with your business data. This is very powerful for any organization as it visually and easily presents both the original and supporting data to all permitted users. Visual data is easier to consume. It enables better collaboration and far more effective decisions by leveraging a lightweight digital twin. So what's a digital twin? A digital twin is a virtual model of a process, product, and/or service. This pairing of the virtual and physical worlds allows the analysis of data, the monitoring of systems, and it allows us to head off problems long before they occur. Downtime, develop new opportunities, and for the future by using simulations. It's the foundation for new technologies like the Internet of Things, machine learning, big data, and asset information networks. So why digital transformation? Well, technology is a strategic differentiator and your competitors are constantly evolving. The entire economy is digitizing, changing the minimum digital standards in the way the world does business. Data fuels new innovations, revenue, and business models. The digital transformation extends well beyond information technology, impacting every area of a business. And it's a proven fact statistically that digitally mature organizations outperform their peers. So the conclusion, digital transformation is not a luxury in today's competitive marketplace, it's a necessity. The digital business world sets new standards daily and your company needs to stay competitive. Digital maturity, speed, and innovation all fuel success. And in order to obtain these efficiencies, organizations must undertake targeted digital transformation projects. In short and in the long run, digital transformation consistently delivers significant return on investment to every level of an organization. So, what's the digital transformation implementation strategy? It's crawl, walk, run, like with any big project. And I know that digital transformation can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I'd like to cover my 8 checklist points on how I like customers to think about a digital transformation, because it can be a big, daunting project. So like with any big, daunting project, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you eat it one bite at a time. So pick the project, pick the low-hanging fruit. That's how I start off. You can't tackle a digital transformation project all at once. For the best results, begin with one specific project and grow it from there. So you'd want to create a list of your biggest workspace challenges. Identify processes that are inefficient, time-consuming, and/or paper-based. Talk with teammates to discover which issues impact other departments and teams, and prioritize projects by the most impactful to the least impactful. Once you've done that, you need to gather some buy-in. So you need to get your senior leaders and your executive leadership on board. It's your job to prove the value of the project. So what you want to do is you want to identify how digitization can save time, money, and resources. Interview employees to get quotes and insights. Look for ways to transform the entire organization rather than just one department. And create a project proposal that includes projections for your overall return on investment, because that's what your senior leaders and your executives care about. They don't mind spending money, but they want to see the return. So how do you get started? Well, once you have your project identified and your leaders on board, it's time to make things happen. Compile a cross-functional team to drive the project forward. Audit the current process from start to finish to identify issues and needs. Develop a strategy that outlines the problem, goals, and timeline, outcomes, and budget. Connect with your IT department and compliance to level set on any must-have features. And here is the most important of these 8 steps: selecting the right technology. The most important part of a digital transformation is finding the right tools and the right technology. So you start by developing a list of must-have and nice-to-have features. You look for no-code solutions that any team member can use to solve their problems. You research solutions and compile a list of those that best fits the needs of your project. And then you can book demos, start trials, and have team members test tools for usability and functionality in your selection process. Next, we have to make sure we perfect our communications. Producing successful digital transformations depends on strong communication. So you want to document the basics: who, what, when, where, and why within your source of the truth. Set a weekly check-in with all those involved, weekly cadence meetings to keep everyone aligned and on the same page. Send bi-weekly communications out to any departments that are impacted by the transformation, and continuously update the status of your project plan, your milestones, your timelines, and your goals. And there's no such thing as over communication. It's critical to any digital transformation project. And then finally, you're ready for a smooth launch. A well-executed launch can make or break the adoption of your new processes. Test any new tools and processes and workflows multiple times. Document the entire process from start to finish in simple steps and terms. Get users outside of the project team to test and provide feedback, and then designate one person to handle all questions, concerns, and issues as the lead. Of course, we have to track our progress. Staying informed on adoption and gathering feedback is crucial to building forward momentum. So we report on the technical usage, the process adoption, and our general project goals. We set up open meetings for users to seek help, ask questions, and make suggestions. We create surveys to gather feedback and ideas on future improvements. And we keep the communication steady with updates on progress, milestones, and again, that all-important return on investment. And then we can finally reflect on our success. Digital transformations, they don't happen overnight. Set yourself up for continued success by reflecting on the process. Set a debriefing meeting with the team to discuss what went well and what didn't go so well. Compare the results to your goals to identify shortcomings and successes and capture those lessons learned. Iterate on your original plan to make improvements identified through the feedback, and then plan for what's next, whether that's an expansion of the current project or a new initiative. So I told you I was going to talk a little bit about the digital transformation maturity phases, and this is kind of how I think about them. So I think of phase 1 as my beginner phase or my crawl phase. I think of a phase 2 as my intermediate novice or my walk phase. And I think of a phase 3 as my advanced methods or my run phase. And every customer I've ever dealt with falls into one of these 3 areas. If they have never undergone a digital transformation, perhaps they still have a lot of paper documents and drawings. So they would fall into a PLM foundation. It's all about, to me, with any digital transformation project, a single source of the truth. And we get that through PLM. And once we have our PLM foundation, we have a place to store everything. We can think about scanning our paper documents to electric documents, or it's all about the document management, the material masters or the bill of materials, product change processes, workflows, engineering control center, bills of materials, visualization. So all of these things are what I think of as a crawl, a beginning phase. And then in phase 2 and phase 3. And I break these down in the following slides. I won't go through and read every one of these in the interest of time. I want to leave some time at the end for you all to get your questions answered. But if you're a beginner, like I said, you have to import all your data. You have to have a single source of the truth if you're going to do a successful digital transformation project. So it can be SAP. It can be another PLM system. It can be Team Center. It can be Windchill. It can be Innovia. It can be SharePoint. It can be a file system on your disk. It just depends. One single source. You want to get your data into one place so it can be organized. Then once it's organized, you can decide how you want to share it throughout your extended enterprise and supply chain. With phase 2, once we have this foundation built, now this is our walk, our intermediate level. We can expand product lifecycle management analytics to improve decision support. We can migrate and retire additional product databases that maybe we don't need anymore because of the first phase. And we can begin engineering tool rationalization efforts, leveraging new PLM landscape and data analytics tools. And then once we're advanced and we've built this foundation, we can establish best-in-class automated assembly and maintenance instructions. We can create 3D training and vendor customer-facing documentation. We can create augmented and virtual reality applications. We can use the Internet of Things to monitor custom-built machines in real time. And it makes it very easy for us to serialize all of our material product components for downstream use. Again, as a reminder, here at LeverX, we are an end-to-end global delivery partner. We predominantly work with SAP and Siemens technology, and we can help you in any phase, whether it's the crawl, walk, or run of your digital transformation. We can help you with your requirements in your blueprinting, your project delivery, your go live, your adoption. And of course, we help review and build solution architecture, software development, and solution implementation. We advise on technology and integrations. We do an IT infrastructure analysis if needed. We work with security and privacy audits, and of course, we perform education and training. So now is the time for questions and answers. You're all going to get a copy of this deck. And I encourage you to read some of my digital twin blog articles that are out there. And if you'd like to see an end-to-end demonstration using some of these technologies from all stages, crawl, walk, I encourage you to select the link for the end-to-end video demonstration. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Matt so he can moderate perhaps some questions if we have any.
Yep, thanks, John. So everybody, there is a question panel. It'll be on your right-hand side. Look through the tabs on your right. and feel free to type in your questions. We'll address those as they come in.
Hey guys, I made it, so if you have any questions for me, I'm here as well.
That is Pete Demchenko, everybody. So, John, we did have a question that just came in. It says, how do you address the "we don't have time for that" when approaching managers about adopting digital twin processes?
Well, I say if you go back to my recommendation about thoroughly documenting the value. I've done hundreds of these digital transformation products in my career, and I have never met an executive level manager that told me he didn't have or she didn't have time when I showed them how much money my idea could save them. So it's all about proper documentation and really, if you follow those 8 steps that I recommended on these slides here, picking the low-hanging fruit of your easiest project and then gathering that buy-in by showing them how much money it can save them. And not only, you have to track things like, you have to know what your baseline numbers are. What was my cost of doing business prior to this, embarking upon this project? And then you can run some numbers, extrapolate some numbers to show them what the return on investment would be. So when you hear I don't have enough time, if you can justify it with a clear, concise, organized project plan, along with exactly the benefit to the company and how much money it can save your company and ultimately put back in your company's pocket, that's how I knock down those walls.
Just to add to that, the low-hanging fruit, like John talked about, where you pick on a process and get it done. There's nothing better than actually seeing the thing work right away and giving them an immediate value. And that builds your credibility, and then on it goes.
And then, and to Pete's point, and once you've done a single successful project and they do see that return on investment and that value, just like you told them, your next projects are going to be much easier to get approved. They just want to know that you're organized, you've thought about this, and you mean business. That's all. I would too if I was going to spend that kind of money.
So, John, next question. What is the process for modeling/creating a digital twin?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So, if we're talking about CAD data, I mean, there are many different types of digital twins, but the digital twin that we see predominantly in the workspace today, what companies will do with the technology available from both SAP, Siemens, PTC, Dassault, all of them, you have the ability to take your CAD data. As we know, 3D CAD data is very heavy from a file size perspective on your disk when I say heavy. And if we employ tools like SAP Visual Enterprise or Siemens Visualization, to name a couple, those allow us to make a very lightweight digital twin of that heavy CAD data. So these tools reduce approximately 99% of the weight out of the file. So now I have the ability, for example, when I helped Boeing with the 787 project, they couldn't view an entire aircraft, 787 aircraft, in CAD, let alone anywhere else, because there were 5 million components in the aircraft. So once we brought the digital transformation to Boeing and they started making digital twins for the first time ever, they could look at more than one 787 on an iPad, let alone a heavy CAD workstation. So the tools, the Visual Enterprise and Team Center Visualization, they take your CAD data, make it very lightweight, and it stays synchronized with your engineering CAD master data. So we know change is inevitable. When engineering changes occur, these digital twins stay automatically updated. And guess what? If you want to use them to, say, create a visual work instruction so someone on your factory floor knows how to assemble something, or someone out in the field knows how to disassemble something for service, to take it apart and repair it, you don't have to redo all that work. When the engineering changes occur, and if you've taken the time to author a digital twin, all of your changes can be absorbed into all of your previous work. So the new components can come in, and your work instructions stay intact for whatever you're trying to help someone do. Build something, take something apart, fix it, whatever the case may be. Hope that answers the question.
That is a huge time saver. Huge.
Just getting the right information at the right release level to the right people at the right time, whether they're internal to your organization or they're out somewhere in your digital supply chain, that will be your biggest bang for the buck on where you see your return on investment the quickest. That's what we've seen time and time again.
Yep, absolutely.
Any more questions? And if you're shy or you don't have time today, my email address is included on the last slide of the deck. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm more than happy to help answer any questions anyone might have.
Yep, John, we have a couple more questions. And
Great.
that was a perfect segue into the next question. What are the watchouts when planning to migrate data?
Well, this is going to sound cliche, but it's the truth. Garbage in, garbage out. So if your data has some challenges before you decide to go on a digital transformation, one of those first projects, in my humble opinion, should be a data cleansing or a data rationalization effort. Because you're only as good as the data that you put into this version of the truth. Because when you think about it, everyone, meaning your entire organization and your supply chain, is going to be leveraging the same version of truth. So the gotchas are, make sure your data is clean. We do what's called a data study. So if you're using LeverX to help you with the digital transformation, that's very much part of our project plan, where we help you go through your data. And we're not there to make you feel bad. We're just there to help you get a good picture of how sound is your data, and is there any opportunity for improvement. If there is, then before you start any project, clean that data.
Yep. Just to add on to John's comments, we found when we're doing these projects, cleaning the data, number one, has to be there, because you're going to move that data. But as long as you're going through these projects, there's other things to consider. One is like the impact of that project on the rest of your project team. So where okay, now we're going to move the data. Do we move it in a big bang? Do we have a roadmap on what legacy systems do we retire at what time? What data has to be moved into SAP? What has to go to other systems? What are the other strategic systems included in a project like this? And then how do we minimize the work on the project team so they don't have to work through two different systems? Well, we're going to move some data in SAP. We've got to keep these legacy systems going. So at LeverX, we built a great tool that allows you to automate some of that mundane work, so people could focus more on the new system. We can automate the processes in the back end when the systems that you're going to retire, and you can retire them over time. There's a lot of considerations here to talk about, and there's plenty of good experience and history working with our tools and with our people.
Yeah,
Thanks,
awesome.
Pete.
Yep, thanks, Pete.
Sure.
So next question. Do users of Visual Enterprise share content with customers and others outside their organization? And then there's a follow-up. Are there legal issues with sharing content externally in terms of SAP licensing?
Okay, so it's your data. Let's take the latter question first. It's your data. You are the intellectual property owners as each company that's attending today. So it is up to you to decide how you want to control said data. Now let's get to the first question. With the Visual Enterprise, if I'm sharing data internally, or I'm sharing data with one of my suppliers who say I'm buying something from, who's making something for me, then I might not have an issue letting them see that intellectual property. And when I say intellectual property, I mean all the dimensions that make up that 3D model. I trust these sources, so I can share the digital twin with them. Now, if I'm quoting overseas or in South America or in Asia or someplace like that, I might have some concerns about my intellectual property getting ripped off or stolen. So the cool thing about the visual enterprise is you have the ability to do what's called randomizing. So you can take your digital twin and with one click, you can create what's called another derivative and you can randomize that file. And what that means is when I share it with, someone in China or someone in India, and I'm not picking on any countries here, but somewhere that's not the United States, if they try to measure anything, it'll never measure the same dimension twice, and the dimensions are meaningless because, I'll measure it one time and it'll come up 22 feet, and I'll measure it the next time and it'll come up 3 millimeters. So your IP, and we can also password protect these digital twin files too. So your intellectual property is never at risk. You decide who the right people at the right time are, and then that's how we set up your security models in your PLM and your PDM and your systems. So whether it's HANA or ECC or Teamcenter or whatever it might be, it's about your security model and securing these digital twins and then putting that extra layer of on them. Maybe it's a password or maybe it's the randomization depending on who I'm trying to share the information with.
Yeah, that's a great point, John.
I want to say one more thing, Pete. No legal ramifications. And the really cool thing about SAP's product line is you don't need a viewer anymore to consume the 3D information. The viewer can now be embedded in a modern day web browser. So all your Chromes, your Firefoxes, and anything after Internet Explorer 11, so the edges and all that stuff, they now ship with what's called a WebGL. GL stands for Graphics Library. So that means you can actually embed the free SAP 3D and 2D viewer inside of a web browser. So anybody can now consume this data without installing anything.
Yeah, that's an important point because we all remember the days when you had to download and try to install a viewer and this file missing and that file's missing and this won't open up and that won't open up and this won't run with this version of that. And that's all fixed. That's a great point. The other thing is just to jump on the IP issue, IP is critical. John hit on an extremely important point. And that's a great question because IP is getting stolen all the time. And we're seeing that it's going to get stolen a lot more coming here in the future. So protecting your data is protecting your company, protecting your jobs, and protecting your revenue. So think about it.
Well put, Pete.
So guys, we have time for about 2 more questions. So we do have 2 more questions, and then we'll have to end the session. If John or Pete haven't gotten to your question, John's contact information is on the lower right-hand side of the slide. Feel free to contact him directly. So John, the next question is, what is your message to engineers who do not see the value of integrating PLM to SAP ERP?
Well, I guess I'd have a follow-up question there. I would ask, well, are they using all SAP or are they keeping, it sounds like they might be keeping their engineering data in another PLM system, and an engineer might not see the value of having the two integrated. So I'll talk about, something near and dear to my heart, which is the handoff from engineering to manufacturing. Like I said, I've been doing this for 36 years, and I started off as a draftsman on a board with paper before I ever learned CAD. And this was like in 1980, or 80s, and this problem has existed since day one. So I would ask the engineer is, how cool would it be if it was very easy to take your engineering bill of materials and seamlessly pass it to our friends, after you've designed it and your products are ready to go. And then when you hand it off to your friends in manufacturing, wouldn't that be cool? Because that's always where the hiccup occurs, is when they hand off, when a company hands off from engineering to manufacturing. It's been an age-old problem. I've seen it in every customer I've ever helped in the last 36 years. And one of the problems digital transformation solves is that. So I would ask an engineer, how cool would it be if I could always know that I had the right version, the right release level of any part at any given time? If I could know where that part was used in every assembly that my entire company makes with one click. If you know, if everything was just easy to share and easy to find, I think that's where the value's at. And I get engineers can get in their own, you know, we all can put the blinders on when we get focused on our day-to-day tasks, right? But I think what you really have to look at is the big picture. And I think if you do strive, I've seen it time and time again, and so has Pete and so has Matt, if you do strive for this single version of the truth and getting your data organized and in one location and shared securely, the doors that it can open for your company and the return on investment are exponential.
Yep.
So that's the easiest way I can answer that question. There's definitely value in it. Otherwise, all the big companies in the world wouldn't have already undergone their digital transformations. I promise you, the Fortune 500s of the world did their digital transformations 15 and 20 years ago. And they're in the run stage now, and they're bleeding edge, and they're tweaking. And everyone else in the world is playing catch up. That's the reality.
Yeah. Just one other point to make. When I always talk to the executives about this stuff, I tell them what is the end result? Is the end result a drawing and a CAD model, or is the end result a product? And it's a product. It's something you want to sell and you want to make money with. The engineering piece is all the important data that you have to leverage with John's digital twins into the ERP side, where people can manufacture, they can assemble, they can maintain, they can sell, they can purchase the parts that they need. So that's a true end-to-end process. So at SAP, we've always looked a little bit bigger than just engineering. We look at the whole product. Engineering being the key piece that starts it all, but the whole end result is really the product that gets sold.
Well, because let's face it, sales is the gasoline that makes our company engine go. If
That's
we can't
right.
sell anything, whether it's products or services, none of us have a job. It's that simple.
Yep, I learned that moving to sales.
Okay, last question.
Yeah,
Feed it to me, Matt.
Yep, last question. Changing the process from manual to digital with automation, how much training is needed for existing staff?
I would say there would be training for a few key individuals in your IT department, and everyone else would just need to reap the benefits of the automations, because the automations are created to run in the background, set and forget, so to speak, after they're tweaked into the way that you want them. So an automation is something a user should never have to worry about. It should be easier. And the way we do that is we set up your automations, and of course we train the right key people on how they work and how to maintain them should any maintenance be needed.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone for your time today. I really appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to myself or Pete at any given time. We're here to help.